So if you are a pushover, if people like asking for favors or they disrespecting you but you don't have balls to speak up, or you do not know what to say when they disrespect you, this video is for you. This is the second part of my setting boundaries series, if you want to call this like this. In the first part we talked about what boundaries are, what like a pleaser is. Today I want to talk about more like what can you say in some situations when you don't know what to say, because often when we are in a situation where we are disrespected, what happens, we tense up, we like frightened, and we like we don't know what to say. So this is always good to know some little words, some little phrases that you can always use until you are that calm in those situations that it just comes naturally to you and you know what to say. My name is Dennis. Right now I'm building my business in sales because I want to travel the world and live free, and everything will be documented here on YouTube. Right now we are in Latin America. If this sounds interesting, consider subscribing. So first of all, of course, I said strong boundaries are the more calm we are when setting the boundaries, the stronger the boundary. But we also want to avoid, when we set a boundary, to be very unclear. For example, if somebody asks us, can you help me with this thing, but you want to work on your business. You don't have time for that other person, but he still asks you to do something. And you say, I don't know, I have like many things to do and I want to finish this until this week, so I'm not so sure if I have time, so can you ask somebody else? This is a very weak boundary because it's unclear. I just defined the boundary and I explained myself. This is what makes the boundary super, super weak. And of course, this just was an example, but in such a situation, the other person would for sure pressure you to still help them out, to still put everything you're doing right now aside and to make time for them. Because it was unclear, because it was justified, and because you or I explained myself. So boundaries must be very clear, and ideally they are very simple, where you do not justify. It's not justification, but like a little explanation in like one sentence. No, thank you, I will not do that because I don't have time. No, I'm working on an important project right now. I do not have time for that. Oh no, thank you, I will not be doing that. Very, very simple, but very clear. You can also just say no. Just a no is sometimes enough and a better boundary than just explaining and telling why you can or why you don't have time or you have other things to do, and way stronger. And so what often happens is that people will not react particularly well because people are not used to you setting boundaries, or in general people setting boundaries. Usually people are pushover and set no boundaries, and they will try to pressure you into still do it. So what do you do when you set a boundary but the boundary seems to not be respected? So what we do is we just set the exact same boundary again. You can say, for example, hey, I'm sorry that you have problems. I know it is urgent for you right now, but I do not have time, and I will work right now, and I will continue working right now on my project. Thank you. Or I'm sorry that you feel that way, and I'm grateful for the invitation, but it's not good for me, so I will not go. Or basically just repeat the same thing again, still be friendly, and by the third time, when they still push you more, then you can be a bit more strict and a bit more, this is what my mentor told me, after the third time, you should be like a bit more strict and a bit more aggressive in your voice so they understand. And after the third time, and you say the name, let's say Luke, what about no, did you not understand? And if you're speaking then, Luke, what about no, did you not understand? If somebody just doesn't accept or respect your boundaries, you just end the conversation, because who says that you are obligated to speak to another person? I think that is important. It is easier to set boundaries when you are in a position of power rather than when you have less power than the other person. Why is that? Because again, the last solution that we have when a boundary is not respected is to end the conversation. And instead, of course, a negotiation that the person who's more willing to stand up and to leave the deal is the person with more power. Being willing to stand up is like our last solution to set a boundary. So this is why we also always want to be working on increasing our power in a situation by not being reliant on other people. When you live with your parents and they pay everything, of course it's not as easy to set a boundary with them than if you make your own money, you live at your own place and they are asking you for a favor. Same with a boss. It's not so easy to set a boundary with a boss because he's paying you and he's responsible that you have food. People do not like if we set boundaries with them, and they will be offended. It really doesn't matter because we can only offend people that are offendable. We set the boundary not because we want to hurt anybody. It's not our problem that they are offendable and they get offended by us. You can only help other people if you help yourself first. If I'm sitting there working on my business, like I did in Germany, and my parents come in, they want to demand some of my time, and I say no, it's because I first have to help myself build up financial resources, so I'm then able to help them, because I cannot help them really financially if I just do some bullshit all day and just play video games. But how can I help them? I can help them if I build my business young, if I become a millionaire, if I become financially resourceful, and then be able to retire them. And as some few last words, you have to understand that setting boundaries, if you're super bad at this right now, this is just a skill that you can learn. And learning setting boundaries is not so much like a process, it's more like a decision. You just have to say, okay, from now on, I will not accept disrespect and I will set my boundaries. And I know for myself that setting boundaries is still a huge thing in my life where I have to do a lot of work, but I also already improved a lot, especially because I became more unreliant on other people that much. And at the end, I want to finish this with a quote that my mentor told me. Hey Dennis, when you will learn to set boundaries, you will experience a freedom in your life that you never have experienced before, because setting boundaries is about protecting ourselves. I really hope that you learned something from this video. I hope that if you had problems with setting boundaries, that you now have maybe still the problems, but at least like a guide how to overcome this or what you can work on. And I want you to make the decision that from now on you will never feel this guilty and angry feeling again that you have when you did not set the boundary. Yes, let's do this together, because I also have to promise this again to myself. So thanks so much for watching, and maybe we'll see each other in the next video with strong boundaries and lots of self-respect. Oh yes, and I forgot something. Buenas noches.